Good afternoon and welcome to our discussion today with Anthem and Savoy, business partners in the Connecticut marketplace. My name is Jeffrey Vanderpool, a leader with Savoy Associates, one of the leading general agencies throughout our marketplace, serving 45 states throughout the United States. Today we are partnering and having a conversation and discussion about the Connecticut marketplace with three esteemed leaders from the market from Anthem, Connecticut. We have Kathy, Brandon, and Mark, who are going to serve as our subject matter experts today as we talk about and navigate through the market, what's trending in our marketplace today, what are concerns and how it is right now to be a broker and some of the difficulties and challenges they face. So quick on the, housekeeping. We have about 100 listeners and viewers today. So we are in listening mode only. And if you have questions, what we ask is that you submit your questions via the chat. And then we will take a look at that chat and answer the questions at the end. So before we go into our discussion, I'll go around the room and have everyone give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves. And we will start with Kathy Z.
Hi, Kathy Zasharenskis, account executive here at the Anthem, and I'm looking forward to a robust discussion today.
Excellent. Brandon Rousseau.
Yeah, Brandon Rousseau, sales director, been at Anthem quite a few years at this point. Been in my current role as sales director for the last 3 years, responsible for the individual market, small group, and the large group segment up to 250 lives. Happy to be here today.
Very good. Mark Quinn, I'm the regional vice president for Anthem Connecticut. I've been with Anthem for 2 years. Started in the industry in the 80s, so been doing this a long time. Certainly want to thank our partners from Savoy for setting today up and look forward to a good panel discussion. So thank you.
And we also have two emerging leaders from Savoy, Anthony Libidini.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anthony Libidini, business development specialist over here at Savoy, focused in the tri-state area. Very excited to be here. So thank you for having us, Anthem. Looking forward to a good discussion.
Yeah, Liam.
I'm Liam Hickey. I'm an account executive at Savoy Associates. I have about 10 years industry experience. Started on the employer side and worked for a company that was specialized in alternate funding solutions through the broker model. So a lot of experience in serving the broker community. And I've been with Savoy for about 6 months now. So really excited to be here at Savoy. And also, today, really thankful to have Anthem with us. And I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Great. So many thanks all around with the partnership. We're excited about the partnership that we're having with Anthem Connecticut. Excited about this marketplace. And so I wanted to start the conversation with something that'll really start facilitating our dialogue, which is what are the concerns right now that we're facing in our marketplace? We have ICHRA, we have affordability issues, we have changes in law and legislation. What are the things that you're facing today that really pose a little bit of a challenge for you as far as your relationship with brokers and the marketplace?
Yeah, so I'll start. I think, from our perspective at Anthem, a few things. One, we're the only carrier in Connecticut that participates in every segment, individual, small group, key accounts, large group, fully insured, self-insured, which gives us the ability to portfolio and pivot. So if we're having a hard time in one marketplace, we can certainly place focus other places. But at the end of the day, it's about the members that we serve in Connecticut, and serving members in Connecticut or in any state is about access and affordability. And, a few recent announcements with the Trinity Health System contract being signed, that provides Anthem 2 leverage points. One is we maintain access for those individuals that currently seek and utilize care through that facility. Second, it's a continuation of Anthem's partnership with our hospital partners on value-based care and transitioning away from a fee-for-service model, transitioning to value-based care. And ultimately, when you think about affordability, we need to get to more and more value-based networks and value-based contracting. It's good for the employer. It's good for the member. So I think from my perspective, at a senior leadership level, those are some of the things that I think about. And I know Brandon and Kathy have been, engaged and introduced to the ICHRA in Connecticut, but I'll turn it over to Brandon for your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. Jeff, you kind of mentioned it. So, I mean, the world that we live in today, whether you're on the carrier side, general agent, if you're a broker in this world that we live in today, it's a lot. I think we recognize, and obviously we want to help. And at the end of the day, I think that's part of this whole dialogue conversation is what can we do, to further help you as a broker, for those of you in attendance, along this crazy path that we're all a part of. Affordability was brought up. So I think with the affordability concerns, and if you guys pay attention to the news, not so distant past now, I was up in Hartford, defending our rate filing. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things where every single year, we as a carrier, and this is no different with any of the carriers here in the state, are led to a place where we have to defend our rates and what we're going out with in the market. So affordability is obviously just as big a concern of ours as it is with anybody, that lives and operates up in Hartford in the legislative arena. So we are looking at alternative solutions. We're hearing a lot of chirping now about ICHRA. Our level funded product, Anthem Balanced Funding, is more popular than ever. And I think employers specifically are looking for alternative solutions. ACA business isn't what it used to be. We're seeing a shrinking market in small group in general. We're seeing a lot of folks choose to not offer coverage to their employees any longer, and they're looking for those solutions to kind of place people. So, we're exploring all types of avenues, and we're just excited about the partnership and obviously the depth of the partnership that we're creating with Savoy to get us to a place where we can get those products and services out to you in the market and obviously support you guys to the best of our ability. Anything to add, Kath, from your perspective?
I appreciate that. So there has been a little bit of discussion around the ICHRA. So just stay tuned. As more is available, we'll share. But Anthem Balanced Funding is definitely the hot spot that we're very excited about with the small group market.
And without making any assumptions that we all know the audience, and this is not an insult to anyone's intelligence, we do have, sometimes a comfort level of using acronyms. So for those who don't know what ICHRA is, individual coverage, health reimbursement arrangements. So my next question to everyone is, do you think this is going to sustain itself? Do you think ICHRA has any kind of sustainability in our market? Is it here to stay? Is it a flash in the pan? Is it a quick solution, a quick fix?
Yeah, I'll jump in. We're having regularly scheduled meetings internally to kind of talk about it. I think Kathy can attest to this. I know I've gotten a lot of questions from my brokers, our brokers that we work with today. It is one of those emerging trends. I don't necessarily think it's going to change the world. Level funding has been around forever, but it hasn't changed the game, right? Like ACA is still a part of our daily life here in the insurance world and small group. But there is a new shift happening. I think the affordability issue is more obvious than it's ever been before. And until we get to a place where we can make sure that we can kind of curb trends and get to a point, Mark mentioned value-based care. That's a huge step in the right direction, getting these hospitals to jump on board and get away from fee-for-service. But we have to get to a place where we can all talk together. So, we've been kind of begging and pleading with brokers. I know Kathy and I specifically have been doing this, where we need to let our voices be heard in this industry, and we need to make sure that the politicians and everyone that kind of set these rates at the end of the day, we can defend them all day long, but if they're not listening and interpreting what we're interpreting the same way, we get into a kind of precarious place where things can get out of hand. So while ICHRA is definitely a hot topic right now, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a game changer, but it's definitely something that we are strategically going to approach, and we're happy to talk about that. I think from a broker perspective, this is where the value really comes in to work with a Savoy, to work with a carrier partner is, what you do today and the business that you're a part of and what you're selling to your clients and customers is changing. So while you might be a small group broker today and say, I never really played in the individual space, or I didn't sell Medicare products today, or, large groups were too far out of scope for me. I think you kind of got to take a look inside and say, hey, where do I see myself in 2, 5, 10 years? Because I'll be honest, I've been around a long time, Mark, Kathy, like we as on the carrier side have been around so long, things stayed stagnant for quite some time. And now all of a sudden you're seeing all these things pop up very quickly. And we just need to adapt to that change and figure out, hey, what's the right path? For me, it's all of them. You just need to be aware of what's going on around you. So
Yeah, I think that from an ICHRA standpoint, where you see popularity, is where the individual market plans and rates are just as competitive as the group plans. And it gives that employer a different avenue to look into that individual market. And when I've worked with my broker partners on potential ICHRA opportunities, a lot of times lately it's been more so groups that have a hard time meeting participation. And it's an option for them to be compliant and still offer coverage to the folks who want it, even if they maybe aren't meeting the participation requirements that a small group plan requires.
Yeah, to that end, and I worked in the key account space. A lot of you guys know, so our mid-market 51 to 100 for several years as a sales rep. One of the hardest parts of my job was going out with a 30% increase, or, a 25% increase. And this, especially a non-for-profit company where, their budget is set at 2-3% increase year over year. Where do they go? What do they do? And if every other carrier is going to decline that, and they still want to be able to provide some level of benefits for, employee retention and everything else, where do you go from there? Difficult conversation to have, but I think those are the kinds of groups that are really starting to think like, maybe this ICHRA route is something that we can attack and approach in a different way. So I do think there's going to be certain niche clients that will find value in it. There's going to be plenty of others that don't, and they're happy where they are, whether it's ACA, ABF, or somewhere else. I think that's probably it's up to them and up to you guys as the broker consultant for that, client to really figure out what makes the most sense. It's not a rule by any stretch. Everybody's got their own kind of thing going on.
I think you made a really good point before. I think it's important for our broker partners to consider diversifying their portfolio. Everyone's comfortable with what they sell or what they know best, but having solutions in your back pocket, like the Anthem Balance Funding or a level funding solution, or even alternate funding solutions such as ICHRA, it's nice to have that solution in your back pocket to be able to offer for someone who it's a good fit for. And I have tons of brokers who only sell group or only sell individual or only sell Medicare, but by not diversifying and not offering those solutions to their particular client base, it leaves room and leaves risk for another broker to come in and swoop that business up with a different solution that they're bringing to the table. Why didn't you tell me about this before? Why is this something I'm hearing from a new broker? So I think it's important just to diversify your portfolio, keep an open mind, keep these solutions in your back pockets. I don't think an ICHRA is going to be necessarily a game changer, but it's definitely something more talked about now, I think, than ever. And as Liam was saying, it's important to have that solution, especially I see a lot of small groups who may not meet that participation requirement or may not really fit the necessary guidelines or not be able to afford a group plan. So to have that as a solution in your back pocket, it's just another tool to bring to the table or more ammo for your arsenal at the end of the day to make sure you're offering best-in-class services to your clientele.
Yeah, and I want to give a kudos to you and all your constituents in Connecticut, because I don't think everyone understands the most highly regulated state in the country is Connecticut. We think it's New York, we think it's New Jersey, we think it's California. It's actually Connecticut. So when you're standing up on the Hill, we appreciate it. The broker community appreciates it. Membership appreciates it too, that you're fighting the fight for everyone. Liam, you had a question?
Yeah, so really kind of feeding off into that in the individual market and how it's something that could also be impacting the group market as well as the Medicaid unwind. I know that was a big topic in 2023 coming into 2024. That unwind is potentially leaving a lot of membership out there on the streets without a plan. Have you seen that impacting the group market? Do you see more folks that are coming off of the Medicaid coming onto group plans, or are they more so going into the individual market?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. We just had a meeting earlier this morning to talk specifically about this. You would think that as these folks come out of the Medicaid unwinds, especially here in Connecticut, where we have a program called Covered Connecticut, where you're actually entitled to zero cost healthcare on the individual marketplace, no cost share, no premium. A lot of the folks coming out of this Medicaid unwind do qualify for Covered Connecticut. They're not enrolling. We saw a shift in our small group overall pool dip. So again, as we talk about alternative solutions, we know that a lot of ACA business is going to level funding as an example. But with the Medicaid unwind specifically, I think we thought a lot of the folks coming out, post-COVID, maybe they got a job and now all of a sudden they were going back into that small group world. We're not seeing that in the numbers, which is very interesting. What we are seeing, and which is unfortunate, is that a lot of these folks coming out of Medicaid unwind are going without coverage at all. So that it's a scary number, and I think we were looking today. It's over 90,000 at this point, and we're not even done with the Medicaid unwind right now. We're on the tail end, which is, I think, a good news story. We're coming to the end of it, but what can we do to get some of these folks enrolled? Can we educate small group employers or brokers to say, hey, I know you offer coverage to this amount of people today, but maybe you want to look at some alternative solution or maybe bumping up contributions, whatever it might be. So I think that's where the role of a general agent, helping you guys kind of craft that story for that customer really comes in handy. And that's something that obviously we on the carrier side are here to support as well. To Mark's point earlier, we do play in every segment, so I think if we see a shift from small group into individual or individual into zero, the scary part is the individual into zero, and we need to make sure that those members don't go without coverage. So I know that our politician partners up in Hartford are obviously advocating for this. Our partners at Access Health, same thing. We want to make sure that everyone here in the state of Connecticut has access and is enrolled in a covered health plan, but right now we are seeing that as a big struggle.
Yeah, and I would just add, we have to continue to work with our Connecticut partners, whether it's Access Health, DSS. How can we find these members? And that's the challenge, is where are they? And how do you identify them? How do you target them? And most importantly, how do you educate them that you're coming off Medicaid, but there are zero cost plans available to you? That if they knew about it, they would take the time to enroll. So we have to find a way to do that, because otherwise, a growing uninsured population is worse than necessarily a Medicaid population, because at least then there was a government fallback. Our concern is they start trying to access care through our hospital system partners who already have enough downward pressure financially on them for access to care. So trying to find them before they identify themselves at a facility where they're looking for care, get upstream, identify them, target the right solution for them in Connecticut, and get them enrolled. Ultimately, that's our goal.
Do you have one question on the RX? Yeah, so exciting news on the Carelon RX side of things. How do you see that impacting the marketplace currently, and just offering more affordability and access to RX care on the specialty side?
So we've had a successful launch of our Carelon partnership, working through the processes as they're going along, and so far so good. It's doing well. Brandon, do you have more that you'd like?
Yeah, so the name Carelon RX in particular is probably new to a lot of folks listening in right now. Anthem is our go-to market brand. We've had Ingenio RX as our pharmacy kind of counterpart in the past. We've had some other vendor partnerships and things like that over the course of time. But we are genuinely excited about the Carelon partnership. There's a lot of new services and innovative things that are happening behind the scenes that we're starting to roll out slowly but surely. Specifically on the Carelon RX side, our specialty pharmacy, we do expect that this will significantly drive down costs, where we actually have a chance to manage really our own PBM when it comes to specialty pharmacy, which we haven't really had the opportunity to do. Everybody knows, prescription trends are up higher than anything else you can point to pretty much across anything industry-wide in the country. So I think that with the introduction and new partnership evolving with Carelon, we do expect to see a lot of hopeful trends come down over the course of the next few years with a long-term partnership, as we start to continue that growth in the market.
Again, I've seen significant improvement and maturity in the Carelon RX space, on a few fronts. One, in terms of account management and partnership with the Anthem teams. Two, best-in-class pricing that competes with the historic name players in the marketplace at or better than those. The BioPlus acquisition, if to your point, Brandon, if there's a spend that's a significant spend today, that's going to be a multiplicative spend in 3 years. It's specialty. So having a distribution arm that owns and controls that space. Infusion center, rollouts and development. The cost of infusion centers today in certain locations, depending on site of service, can vary by up to 300%, depending on where you get the infusion. So I really do think there's an opportunity through our ongoing partnership and the growth and maturity of Carelon RX for that to continue to improve. So nothing but positive with the partnership and the growth to date.
Yeah, go ahead. No, just shifting to the small group market. I think this is a good kind of transition. One thing that we noticed is that going into 2024, you eliminated the HMO options. My understanding was there wasn't a tremendous amount of participation in that portfolio. and so you've moved to just the PPO model on the ACA small group side. How has that kind of impacted your market penetration? Have you seen growth there, or have you seen any downside to eliminating the HMO product?
Yeah, I'll take that one. From my perspective, Anthem does have the broadest network in the country. I think we tout ourselves as best we can to make sure that you guys are aware of that. Specifically on the PPO side, it's a national PPO network. I think that's what employers have historically looked for. They continue to look for it today. We talked about ICHRA earlier. One of my biggest concerns with the whole ICHRA thing is if you get out of a group plan that has that national PPO and you force people into an individual market where there are limited networks and things like that, where they don't have the ability to go wherever they want, that's a big concern. So I do think there's a lot of value in having that PPO product. Quite frankly, it was also much easier for us to streamline. We know some of the complaints that we've gotten from our brokers, and I'll defer some of this conversation to Kathy, but brokers want simplicity. They don't want to look at a portfolio of 300 products and try to pick which one makes sense for this customer. The simplicity of having one network, a smaller portfolio, kind of I think drives that. And quite frankly, we didn't really see an appetite for the HMO product. I think HMO products, when they were introduced several years ago, were the hot thing, but people want access to care, and they want it however they want it, wherever they want it. So I think that switching gears and going into a PPO arrangement in small group has helped us grow tremendously in that market. And it's also made, I think and hope, brokers, a little bit easier to, understand exactly what we're trying to accomplish in that space. But Kathy, if you have any additional comments, I'd be excited to hear them.
Absolutely. With our PPO product portfolio, streamlining, simplification, make it easier to understand. About a dozen plan designs, and they range from straight copay plans without any deductible on both platinum and gold level, to plans that have a mixture of copay and deductible. And then we have plans that the deductible will be hospital-based and the copays would be non-hospital-based services. And then we have the straight up CDHPs, the consumer-driven health plans, the HSA qualified plans that are upfront deductible for all services other than preventive. We also introduced a hybrid of that, where we have an upfront deductible for most services, but your generic drugs and your tier 2 drugs and your office copays are not subject, your PCP copays are not subject to the deductible. So we have different flavors to suit different needs.
Those are the value plans, right?
Yes.
The ones that have the no upfront deductible for the office visit and the pharmacy. It's called like value when you see that, right?
Yes, the value is in the price point. It's a very sweet price point for the value plans. So we have different flavors, and we have the flexibility of being able to offer multiple plan options regardless of the group size. A group of 5 could have 5 plan designs. A group of 20 typically wants just one size fits all, but we can do it. Most groups typically do pick 2 or 3 plan designs at maximum, but we have that flexibility, and there aren't any restrictions within that portfolio. So it's a robust portfolio. It has all the different cost shares, and it's flexible.
I think that's one of the things we love about working with the Blues and Anthem in particular is the simplicity of your product portfolio, but also the different flavors that you offer. Having the PPO as an offering, having the in and out of network benefits, people typically see it as I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And it's one of those things, especially like in the Fairfield County area, when you're kind of borderlining the New York marketplace as well. You want to have that flexibility of being able to go across state lines and utilize those services at a network if you need to. Obviously, we know staying in network is always more cost effective, but to be able to use the out network is just a peace of mind type of deal. And I was laughing before because I could, as you were saying, with the product portfolio, sometimes when you have a huge thesaurus of plans to choose from, it's overwhelming. And I always refer to it as like looking at a diner menu. It's like you're flipping through 20 pages. And,
you have no choice. There's so much choice, you have no choice.
Yeah, you can't decide what you want to eat or what you want to choose. So you just go with what you know or what you're used to. Like, I'll just have a BLT. So it's nice. And I definitely appreciate that. When we're shopping different plans and we're finding what's best fit for our brokers and their particular clientele, I think it's nice to have a streamlined process, a neat, clean product portfolio, but also different flavors in those offerings.
And being able to use the National Blue Card Association for in-network services, no matter where you are in the country, is ideal, especially for those the groups that are multi-sided. They have their headquarters here in Connecticut, of course, their headquarters here in Connecticut, but they have employees throughout the country. They'll be able to have the same level of benefits as their Connecticut residents, as the out-of-state members, with the same level of benefits, same cost shares, and access to the full National Blue Card network.
100%.
Yeah, a lot of this conversation has really led us right now to the next part of the discussion, which is value. You know, we understand the value of our partnership with Anthem Connecticut. We understand that there are a lot of things that we just discussed that have to be at times swirling around a broker's head and trying to navigate and figure out what they should do next for their clients. And this is where the partnership and this is where the value really starts to rear itself and become very evident, which is using a general agency, partnering with the carrier to get you through some of the difficult and more challenging times with regards to solutions, plan designs. We talked about so many different plan designs that you could possibly have. This is where partnership really provides value for our broker community, where you can look at us, look at our agency as a solution for you, look at us as a back office solution, and also look at our partner with Anthem Blue Cross as a provider that can provide value, consistency, and has a name brand that is obviously known throughout the world. So if you were talking about, Anthony, I'll pose this question to you. If you were talking about differentiating factors between us as an agency, Savoy as an agency, and other agencies, without going too deep into it and offending any of our partners out there, hey guys, what would you say how would you sum it up? Talk to us about, why would Savoy be the agency for a Connecticut broker to really start to look at with regards to this?
So it's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Where do I begin? I think Savoy, being a proud, independently owned boutique consulting firm that's been offering benefits programs to the brokerage community for as long as they have. I mean, 2025 is going to be our 40th year in business, so we're coming up on our anniversary relatively soon. I think being independently owned is more than just a badge of honor. It's really what makes Savoy a true partner at the end of the day. And with no retail arm or ties to any aggregators, we're never going to be competing with our broker partners. We're solely focused on their growth and their success at the end of the day. It also is what helps us to be nimble and to operate with more flexibility than a lot of our competitors. I think that with our boutique approach and minimal red tape, we're able to outpace a lot of our competition as well. So with Savoy and me as your dedicated partner, I have the authority and the flexibility, and I'm personally able to oversee projects from start to finish. And I think with our strong relationships and our negotiating power, we drive optimal results and quick turnarounds. So I think utilizing Savoy, we do have a boutique shop and a boutique feel, but we're able to kind of customize that approach to our particular broker's needs and figure out where they may be falling short or where they're not diversifying to fill those particular gaps, make sure that they're really offering the best class services to their clientele. Liam, what do you think? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. At Savoy, we're not just we're not just a wholesaler. We're a strategic ally to help brokers navigate the complexity of the industry that we're in. Obviously, at our core, we're going to help our broker community by marketing health, ancillary, and voluntary coverage. But our commitment to our carrier partners allows us to stay on top of trends so that we can put together tailored plans for our broker partners that meet the needs of the day. And beyond that, we have so many other services that we help our broker partners with beyond just the marketing. We have our dedicated marketing team behind the cameras here today, helping and supporting us. And they don't just help support us internally, but they are very willing to sit down with our broker partners and look at where you're successful. What are your niches that you're operating well inside of, and then pouring fuel on that fire to help your growth and retention. So our goals are singularly aligned with our broker community to help their growth and retention. And beyond that, there's so many other services. We have our compliance consultants. You could join us every Tuesday morning for Coffee with Compliance, and you can get updates on what's going on a weekly basis, and then you can ask questions from there. We have technology experts, employer services. There's just a multitude of different experts that we can pull in. At the end of the day, I pride myself in being knowledgeable and helpful to the brokers that I work with, but I'm not an expert on every different area, right? And within Savoy, we have experts that we can pull in to help fill in those gaps of wherever our brokers need that support. Maybe brokers have a great PEO department, or maybe they're very comfortable with their ACA plans, but if they're not as comfortable with the ABF product, we can help educate on that. So we can really fill in the holes to really make sure that our brokers feel like they have a tremendous amount of support beyond what they have in-house.
And I would just say from the Anthem perspective, throughout my career, I've worked with GA partners as being some of the best distribution arm partners I've had that drove the greatest results. When I joined Anthem Connecticut, there seems to have been maybe a historic preference to not partner as much with GAs, which just surprised me. And I think you've hit upon a lot of the points. There are producers that are of scale, size, magnitude that certainly don't need to write through a GA. But for all of the technology, compliance, HR, training, we talk about this market being so dynamic and so ever changing. Keeping up with all the products, all the new solutions that are evolving, and you have 4 or 5 main carriers, and we're trying to be simple. Another carrier might have 100 flavors, 200 flavors. Boiling the ocean is difficult. And if you're boiling the ocean, you're probably not being strategic and consultative. But getting targeted and focused and really looking at the solution that matches this customer's needs, I think a GA like Savoy has the sophistication, the scale, and the expertise to be able to bring that level of coaching, mentoring, and access to data, analytics, and people that can certainly help in the marketplace. So I welcome the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you, Mark. Well said. And I think one of the things about the best thing really about the GA model that I find is that it costs absolutely nothing to work with the GA from a broker's perspective. It doesn't affect your bottom line, doesn't come at a cost to your clientele. I find that partnering with a GA such as Savoy really gives you a more hands-on approach, consistent monitoring, and it's a team effort, whereas some agencies may focus or specialize in one particular marketplace or one particular size of their clients, where Savoy can kind of find, and from an outside perspective, look at what their current approach is and really find where they may be falling short, or just offer some solutions to the table that they may not be currently using. So to have a strong partner like Anthem in the Connecticut marketplace as well is beneficial for even Savoy to even just get our foot in the doors with these conversations. So we're very thankful for that.
Yeah, and one thing that I feel is very relatable, a lot of brokers out, there are the big shops that have all the back office support that they could possibly need, where, being an independent boutique general agency, I feel like when we're out there in the marketplace, we really relate those independent brokers who need that additional support, who maybe have a really strong, a really strong certain segment of the market that they've cornered. Well, we can really help come in and fill in the rest of those areas, whether it's compliance, marketing, and really fill in those gaps. And so I think that being boutique and independent makes us very relatable in the marketplace.
People want to work with who they relate to, so I feel like it's a perfect picture painted at the end of the day if you can find a carrier partner and a GA partner that you're aligned with.
Yeah, I'll just add, being in this industry as long as I have, I think employers are demanding more from their brokers than ever before too. So, as that dynamic changes and the broker has more pressure on them to provide all this education, information, support to their client, it's almost too much at some point where if you almost need a backdrop to kind of help you out. So, that's where I think, to Mark's point earlier, like going back, 10, 15 years ago, the general agent was like, so who, what, like Anthem wanted no part of that. We've come to agreement, over the course of the last several years now, where it's all right. The general agent has a role to play, and it's a big role to play. And at the end of the day, like as this, we keep going back to it. And I know it sounds like a broken record, but like this ever-changing world that we live in today in insurance, it's not going to get any easier. I mean, every single year, every month, every day now, you're hearing about something that's changing or new and different. Being able to keep up is becoming more and more difficult. Even on our side, we feel it on the carrier side. So, we're this massive company that's national and everything else, and we're still feeling that. So I can only imagine, obviously, what our broker partners are feeling. That's where I do feel like there's so much value in working with a general agent. And to your point, it doesn't cost you anything, right? So like we're the ones picking up the tab on that relationship. If we're picking up the tab on it, we obviously see a value in that. So nothing for you guys to be concerned about on the broker side.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, this is really a testament to the general agency model as well. I know we talked about differentiating factors, but overall, when you look at scale and you look at success, and you look at a carrier who's moving throughout all of the different changes throughout the landscape and the marketplace, the general agent plays a really important role. And Brandon, you touched on it, and Mark, you went into it as well. And this is the reason that we're partnering and our partnerships with you and other GA partners with carriers, because we want to make sure that this community, the health insurance community, the insurance community overall, stays healthy, is vital to our existence overall. And we want to make sure that we are providing the best value possible and helping each other succeed overall. Yeah. You want to switch? Oh, go ahead. I was going to switch gears to product. Okay.
Well, I was just thinking one thing that really aligns Anthem and Savoy is the efficiencies that we provide, right? When you have so many brokers coming to you directly, you could add to inefficiencies. So having a general agent come into the equation to be able to utilize our back office with all the experience that we have in our back office, our 10-year teams that we have, it can really help streamline and support your growth and the growth of our brokers as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, being in the, so again, I was a sales rep for many, many years. And this is no disrespect to, the broker that does it all themselves. I mean, I give credit, that's an amazing job what you guys are doing if you are doing it all on your own. But again, like, from my experience and just hearing all the things that you guys suffer with on a regular basis, like there is help out there, and whether it's your carrier partner, obviously we have a team here that obviously is willing to help as well. But, to your point, it's like at some point we get burdened with that too. So, when you have administrative issues, they get escalated, people get missing ID cards, people are stuck at the pharmacy without what they need. That's where I'll be honest, when I have partners working with a general agent, I don't get a lot of chatter around that, in that space. So I think the efficiencies that a general agent brings, specifically with you guys at Savoy, like the way that you kind of channel that customer to where they need to go very quickly and efficiently, that gets us all to a better place where it just works like a well-oiled machine. So
the other thing I would add is I've had in the past producers say, well, I have direct access to ABC Carrier's leadership team. That doesn't change with Savoy. If you're a top producer or a producer that wants access to myself or Brandon or our president Lou, like we offer that. We still need to know you and want to know you. It's just that there's a channel and access to resources through Savoy that helps you on a day-to-day, but it doesn't eliminate your access to the decision makers. And if we're entertaining and hosting an event and just getting together for happy hour to get to know people and just say hi, I want you at the meeting because I need to know who's running the business and give you an opportunity to get to know me and to get to know Brandon and his team. So there isn't a disconnect in terms of your ability to get to leadership at Anthem.
Just adds another layer of effectiveness and more support at the end of the day. I think that's where we really shine, kind of adding value to our carrier partners as well. Of course, we want to add as much value as we can to our brokers, but at the end of the day, for our carrier partners, we want to be as strong a partner as possible. And I think us adding that administrative support on your side to filter out all the noise and to really kind of handle the smaller, minor daily occurrences that you shouldn't really be getting too deep in the weeds with, that we can certainly handle. We're more than capable of doing so. And then in terms of just clean case processing, streamlining turnaround times and smooth case transitions, We have stellar teams internally, but also externally that will utilize those channels to be as effective and efficient as possible. So it's really trying to find the best possible flow in terms of, yeah, you still have access, as Mark was saying, to that executive leadership.
It's a balance.
But should we bother executive leadership for the missing ID card? I don't think so. That's where we come in, and we have a stellar account management team that really jumps in and is more than happy to help service and support on a regular basis. And that's where I think we kind of add the most value. Our goals align directly with Anthem's in terms of we want to help you grow, retain, and run your business as efficiently, effectively as possible at the end of the day. So it's a very symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, agree.
Did you want to change gears to product?
Sure. So from a product perspective, we've talked a lot about ABF today and how that's a growing part of your market segment. So are you actively identifying your current ACA groups for opportunities that would be a good fit for that transition?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the market shift, we've talked about it already kind of, in this session here, but small group ACA business is changing. There's a lot of groups that are exiting the small group ACA space. We are actively migrating, quite frankly. Some of the good running groups where we will benefit from, joining a level funded product, specifically our ABF product. This group. So on the broker side, and in conjunction, obviously, with our partners here at Savoy, will hear from us if we identify a client that's a good fit for our ABF product. I was still Kathy's thunder because I know she had some stuff to add here, but it's a very much a big part of our process. I tend to talk too much, as you guys probably know, so I'm gonna zip it and let Kathy do her thing.
Okay, now ABF is one of my favorite topics. Here we go. We had 2 hours, right? So ABF, we do proactively look at every single ACA group that is renewing with us that has 5 or more employees. And if they are a good fit, we do create an ABF alternative, an Anthem balanced funding alternative for you to present to your clients. Now, if it's one of your first Anthem balanced funding, please don't worry. We've got this. So work with your account management team, work with Rod and me on the new business side, work with us, and we will help you be able to present this level funded program in conjunction with Savoy to your client. For the transition on renewal, it happens automatically. Now, if you have a group of 4 people, or they just grew to 5, but when we did the renewal snapshot, they only had 4 people, again, bring that information to us because they would not have been reviewed for ABF. So really engage with your account manager. If you have a group that just recently grew to 5 and you think they would be a good fit for ABF, let's work it. Let's do that. With the on the new business side, every single ABF proposal that comes through the door gets the same scrutiny as a large group quote. It is reviewed by underwriting, actuary, pricing, sales, and management. We want to give you the right rate at the right time for the right group. We do use transition and implementation credits. Now, these transition and implementation credits are available for all groups. Groups that are currently with Anthem ACA would be eligible for a transition credit, transitioning to the level funded. Groups that are new to Anthem will get the transition credit and a new business credit. And we do work those credits very carefully. They're based on group size. So depending on how many are enrolled would determine the amount of credit. But if we have to get to a place in pricing, we may be able to increase those credits so that the employer at the end of the year is coming with a net win as far as rating and surplus share. But their rates are not artificially deflated to get to a competitive position. So ABF. I just ask for the opportunity, please. We ask for the opportunity and engage your account management and your sales team. If you would like an ABF 101, we're more than happy to meet with you on that.
Yeah, Kathy, just to build upon that real quick, in terms of the upfront scrutiny for who should get an ABF quote, and do you qualify, do you meet the standards? Because the only groups we want are those that have the potential to participate in a surplus. 70% of our groups achieve a surplus, which tells us we're targeting the right groups. So we are not underwriting groups and placing them in ABF unless they truly have the financials to merit it. So just wanted to make
Yeah, I was just going to add, I feel the same excitement as Kathy around ABF. I think, and going back to the whole streamlining conversation from earlier, it's like we talked about PPO versus HMO. Like our intent with our ABF product, quite frankly, was to make it as simple as possible to understand for our brokers to sell it. So the benefits that you're looking at are identical to what you're seeing on an ACA basis. So, there are certain mandates and things carved out, just because that's the way that the level of products are set up. But from an ease of administration and understanding and education, the ABF products and the ACA products, essentially to a client would look the same. Networks are the same. They still get that broad PPO network that we were talking about earlier. The real hook is, to Mark's point, A, we're not going to put you in this product if it doesn't make sense. And B, we're really only trying to put you in this product so you can benefit from it at the end of the day. So, for our broker partners out there, these guys at Savoy, they know what they're talking about when it comes to level funding. We've definitely experienced that in our relationship thus far. And obviously you have Kathy and Rod and the rest of my account management team, Rebecca, Kristen, and Sherry to kind of talk you through. So don't be shy. That's what we're here for. We're here to educate you on the product. It's been around a few years now. We understand that, but it truly is almost becoming, it's a staple in this small group world that we live in today. And we're starting to see a lot more customers, quite frankly, in the 51 place start to entertain it as well. So, it's not a trend anymore. It's here to stay. And we just want to make sure that you guys are educated and aware of what's going on there.
Well, it's nice to know that it's established in the marketplace. You're not a guinea pig at this point.
No.
It's a true product that's working really well in the marketplace. So when you identify an ACA group that is a good fit, what percentage of them are roughly what percentage of them are actually making the plunge? Are a lot of them making the plunge? Are there a lot that are out there that aren't? And what would be the reason they wouldn't? Or like, what has been your experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And frankly, it is one of our strategies. We want to put those groups in that position to win. Here's what I have to say, this is the value of a generation for me, because I know, again, if you're a small group broker in this world and you have crunch time in, October, November, December, and you have 50 groups you need to go out and go see, it's easy to sell ACA. We completely understand and appreciate that. The long-term effect and the long-term sustainability and retention for you on the broker side as well, to have a group that's in that ABF arrangement, it speaks volumes. So we haven't necessarily seen the amount of conversions that we thought. We are actively pursuing them. And again, I give full respect and credit to all the brokers that are out there, busting it, but let us help you, let Savoy and, the other partners that you have available to you help you tell that story for you and help educate you on what you're trying to sell. And we're not going to waste your time. So at the end of the day, again, if it's a customer that doesn't fit, we're not going to bother. We're really just trying to educate you on, hey, this group is a good fit. Here's how the program works. Here's all the tools and resources available to you. And obviously we're partners when it comes to that.
I definitely lean into the support and expertise of your support team. Definitely recommend that. They know their stuff. They know the paperwork. They know the processes, and it goes smoothly.
Yeah, I could say personally, working with a case that transitioned very recently from ACA over to ABF, very smooth transition process. Couldn't have been easier. And I also love the transition credits. I think that's a very nice opportunity to take advantage of. And for any of those brokers out there that haven't really dabbled with the level funded model, totally understand, but it's something that if you are a good fit for ABF in the small group market, particularly, there's really only an upside to look at the end of the day, because if it's not a good fit, or if the group doesn't run well at the end of the day, you can always go back to ACA. And the cool part about it is, being how Anthem is so competitively aligned, even just in the ACA marketplace right now, knowing that there's potentially even more savings on the ABF product portfolio is really a no-brainer to even consider that as an opportunity. So you'd be doing yourself an indecency and your clients an indecency by not at least asking about it or looking into that as an alternative.
Yeah, just to close the loop there. I mean, it's aggressive price, and it's well below our ACA price. So, again, if a group is a good fit, they're going to save a lot of money, and that's not even including those implementation and transition credits that are on the table. So it's, again, no brainer. It truly is.
And did we mention the discounts for specialty bundling?
You didn't, but now you did.
All right. So you know that with ACA, the rate's the rate. You cannot be negotiated in the small group market, but with ABF, we could discount the medical rate based on bundled sales So package it with the dental, package it with the vision, package it with the life. Money will come off that medical rate, in addition to the other discounts that are
Yeah,
available.
great point.
What more could you ask for? Cherry on top.
Good deal.
Yeah, so to the broker community that's listening in today, I mean, we would love to meet with you for 15 minutes to discuss these different valued products and the trends that are going on in the marketplace. If you found any value from the discussion today, please sit down with myself or Anthony over the coming days to come up with a strategy or to come up with a marketing plan to go after the marketplace. And let's get some wins this year. Let's grow. Let's retain those clients and have mutual success.
Liam, do you mind if I leave the group with a message also?
Of course.
From the Anthem perspective, for those brokers that haven't worked with us before, we look forward to it. For those that have, let me just give you the landscape. I mentioned a little bit about it, but we are heading into 24-25 with the strongest financial tailwinds that we've had. We play in every single segment. Individual, we just turned over the individual market where now we're going to be number one in that segment. Small group, we're going to be number one in that segment. Key accounts is a growth segment from senior leadership top down. We are told grow, grow, grow. Last few years, we had to fix our financials, which we did. So Brandon, Kathy, the entire leadership team, we are incredibly excited because we have everything we need to grow across every single segment. And just so you also know, especially in large group where it comes in, given that we are the only player that plays in every segment, our scale and breadth allows us to have the best hospital contracts in the state. We can provide value props that show. On average, we're about 7 percentage points better than the competition. So we have nothing but tailwinds. We want to work with you, want you to challenge us, want you to push us, but look forward to working with you. And thank you for the time. Just to give a last minute plug for the Anthem group.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate this.
Do we have any questions that came into the chat? No questions on the chat.
Any questions that we have that may come through, we'd be more than happy to address after the fact. So we'll be reaching out to some of those brokers or agencies afterwards to really have a touch point and to introduce ourselves and see what we might be able to bring some value to the table.
And thank you. Thank you for your partnership, and thank you for your partnership.
Thank you all.
It's been great, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you can see, a partnership like Savoy and Anthem is vital for our community. It's vital for success as well. This is a very successful partnership that we're both enjoying, and we expect to do great things among the broker community, the landscape within Connecticut as well. We look forward to having another conversation like this again. And we will do more of these. We'll do more outreach, communication. This is what we really do, and this is how we want to represent ourselves, as well as helping the carriers like Anthem and our partners for success. Because at the end of the day, you brokers out there who are listening and viewing this panel discussion, please understand that this also means your success as well. Helping you navigate through all of the, sometimes what we consider muddy waters, and sometimes the back office, some of the things that Anthony talked about, really small issues that really slow down the process. It slows down Anthem, slows you down, and then it doesn't give you the ability to really succeed and grow. And that's, at the end of the day, what we all want to do. We want to grow, we want to flourish in this community, and we want to make it healthy as long as possible. So thanks everyone for joining in and listening. This has been a great opportunity. Thank you, Anthem. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Kathy, Liam. I'm sorry, Anthony. Liam. And look forward to the next one. Thanks very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.